Hello, welcome to today's video. We are discussing what I like to call the freezing technique. This is a helpful tool that we can use for learning how to play music, especially sections of music that may be a little bit difficult for us to understand at first. And so we apply the freezing technique. Basically, the freezing technique is to isolate a section before, during, and after the part that we are having trouble with. Let's use a very simple piece of music as an example. We're going to go ahead and use Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. That is our example. So let's go ahead and decide upon a section that we may encounter in music that may give us trouble. So let's go ahead and invent something here. So let's say that when we go trouble, let's go ahead and say that we're having trouble going up to this section here to an F while playing this top note right here, and we keep on messing up the chord and not playing it right. We're not able to put them both together. So instead of trying to figure it out and running through the section or the piece over and over again until we get it right, which actually may take more time trying to figure out than if we were to just isolate the music. So let's go ahead and encounter our trouble spot. So there's this trouble spot right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So it appears to be happening in the second measure of our piece. So before we approach the treble section, what we want to do is play up until that beat or that measure. Okay, so here is a visual representation of what our music looks like. So we have here our notes. That's for the right hand, and the left hand is simply a C major chord, and then an F chord in second inversion, but that's not very necessary to know about if we don't know about inversions yet or chords. So all we want to know is how can we play the beginning of the second measure correctly, because we seem to be having a little bit of trouble there. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to play the first measure. Once we get to the end of that first measure, we are going to hold or freeze and then we're going to stop. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. So getting into the end of the first measure, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we are at the end of our first measure. Freeze that beat, hold it as though it is a fermata, or as though you're frozen in time. And then release. Practice doing that a few times until you are comfortable. Okay, so we have that down. The next part is taking the hands separately. So, before we start with the left hand, let's go ahead and do the right hand. We know our fingering is 1, 1, 4, 4 for the first measure. The second measure, it goes to A, so we're going to give that to 5. 5, now for the first beat of that measure, before I start playing the rest of the notes, I'm simply going to hold on that note right there until I got it right. Then I'm going to return back to the previous measure, play it again, and then hold, making sure that I have it right and in tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And I'm just freezing on that first beat of the second measure. I'm not playing the left hand, I'm only playing the right hand and beat number 1. Once we have that down, let's go ahead and put the remaining notes for the right hand without playing the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 1. I froze. Now I'm going to continue on. 2, 3, 4. Only go one beat at a time as you are able. You may need to freeze for every single one of the beats within your treble section if necessary. Let's say that I have trouble with all of these notes, and I'm simply going to start here, freeze, continue, play that note, I'm going to freeze again, then I'm going to play that note and freeze again, continue, play that note, freeze again. Always freeze to make sure that the note is correct. Okay, so let's say I've done that with all 3 of my notes in the treble section. I froze and continued for every one, and I repeated it many times until I was able to play one right after the other. It may not sound perfect with rhythm or tempo, but eventually you should get back into tempo and your rhythms should be accurate. Let's go ahead and try that with the right hand until the end of that second measure, not the left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to stop with that measure. Since we are done with learning the right hand for the treble spot, it's now time to put the left hand in. Now before I put both hands together, I'm simply going to practice the way I did with the right hand, but just time reversed. I'm going to stop playing the right hand as soon as we get into measure number 2, and I'm only going to be playing the left hand, but freezing before, during, and then after. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Remember, freeze here, let go. Find the treble section. If it is a chord, make sure that you have your fingers over the correct notes. For this example, it is C, F, and A. Once you have your fingers over those notes, go ahead and play it. And make sure that you are playing all the notes correctly. When they are all correct, you may let go. I would play it again many times to make sure that you got it. And then, of course, I would practice with the previous chord. And then check to see that your fingers are correct. Play the next chord. And just practice back and forth. And this you can do within a measure, within various measures. so that the transition from one chord or note or passage to the next is seamless and comfortable. Very good. Now, let's see if we can put both hands together on beat number 1 of our problem section. We're going to continue with the first measure as usual. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, freeze. Let go. Place your fingers over the correct notes. Okay, so I have my C, F, A, and then I have my A up here. Play them all together. Make sure they're correct. Then let go, and try it again. Let's freeze one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stop. Place your fingers over the correct notes. Play them. And then let's continue with the right hand, because this left hand is only a chord. Okay. So now that we've done that, let's see if we can put it back into tempo. This may take a little bit of trying, starting from a low tempo to a higher tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. And we corrected our treble spot. We played everything up to that treble section correctly with both hands. We froze right before the treble section. We isolated the hands, freezing for each beat and each note, one hand at a time, then putting both hands together, and then practicing a seamless transition from one beat or one measure to the next with the correct rhythm and with the correct tempo. Now, this may seem quite tedious, and it also may seem like it takes a long time to do. Although it may seem that way, if you follow these steps, you will have success playing problem sections, and you will have obviously learned this section the right way the first time. Always remember, never learn mistakes. Only learn the correct notes and rhythm. Okay, so apply this to everything that you play in your life as a piano student. And if you have any specific questions about how to apply the freezing technique to a particular treble spot, always ask me or ask your teacher. And we will see you in next lesson.